I thought I would maybe talk a little bit about something that made the headlines back in, I think, in September, early
Mhm.
October, or maybe it was even more like the end of October, actually,
Okay.
when we got the news from Cursor that they put out Cursor 2.0. And the new model that they released was Composer 1, I think, at the time. And you actually did a little bit of a walkthrough on what your discovery was and talked about some of the things that you noticed in your first passing with all that. So, anyway, I was kind of revisiting some of the announcements around that tool and also playing with Cursor a lot over the weekend, and was reminded of a feature that I thought kind of slipped between the cracks between the announcement, between all the agentic stuff that Cursor has added, this whole different sort of interface, but then their model, which is actually pretty good. um, and anyway, there's this whole web browser feature that they introduced that I just really
Ah.
hadn't had a chance to go mess around with much until this weekend. And yeah, so have you played around with that web browser feature? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'll admit I think I saw it in the release notes and may not have tested it at all. I've definitely tried it in Windsurf, but I don't think I have in Cursor.
Okay, yeah. Well, like I said, didn't intentionally go to, mess around with it, but I was working on a project over the weekend, and one of the things I asked Cursor to do, my agent, I
Mhm.
think I was actually maybe using the latest Opus model this weekend, though, but I asked it to do something that would require, taking a look at it, the app in the browser, not thinking about, oh, I didn't have Playwright already set up, which is the MCP server I usually rely on for stuff like that. And lo and behold, right there within Cursor, a little tab opened up with a browser and loaded my app, and I just like clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot that this was even a thing. So yeah, if you're looking at the announcement here, um, back, it was October 29th actually that
Right.
they told us about that. And scrolling down through here, I think you get to the bottoms, there's just like, oh yeah, also we've built this native browser tool that allows Cursor to test its work and iterate until it has produced the final results. So yeah, I wanted to just show you what sort of I've figured out around that. Now, well, actually, before I jump into Cursor, let me explain the demo app that I have. Are you familiar with the game Plinko? Ryan, have you ever played that game
I
Plinko?
I want to say I saw it on a game show in the 80s or
Oh
90s.
yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Yep. There's lots of various versions of Plinko-like games, and so I created something like that via, within Cursor,
Mhm.
and then I thought I'd use this as just like a way for us to demonstrate what I figured out with that whole browser thing. So this is just a game. You can go to it if you go to my GitHub and just open up here. It's a static web app within GitHub Pages, so very simple. It's got some JavaScript, of course, to make these balls animate and drop down into the
Oh, oh.
thing. And yeah, so you can go through that. And but what I want to show you is over in Cursor. So
Mhm.
this is the repo. I've already synchronized, pulled down the repo. It's just a basic README file, an index file, the license. And because I was using Claude within Cursor, it also added some Claude stuff.
Mhm.
But there's really not much here, right? Now, what I would like to do is update my repo to include a screenshot of the game itself, like maybe put it somewhere in here where people can not only read
Mhm.
about the game, but just see a quick screenshot. And I think we can handle that pretty straightforward, pretty easy within Cursor now. And I thought we'd just try that out and see what happens. So I'm going to pop back over into Cursor and open up the agent here. And let's just see. I'm going to say, take a screenshot of the app and save it somewhere in the project. And then we'll put it in the README file.
Gotcha.
So pretty straightforward, right? I feel like just take a screenshot of the app, save it
It's
somewhere in
also
there.
pretty open-ended, right? So it's like, how
Yeah.
do you want me
It,
to, let's
it,
see, let's see what
yeah,
happens.
I honestly don't care, right? We're just here for output, or not for output, for outcomes. And so that's the instructions I'm going to give it, and let's just see what happens.
Mhm.
So you and I were talking about this before the
Right.
recording. Is it immediately wants to navigate to uh, the location of the application.
Right.
However, it's asking me to verify that run, which I don't mind. It's going to ask me here and there. I do have the settings, I thought, already configured to go figure all this out and just do it without me, auto run basically.
Right.
But it's not necessarily successful, I would say, with that just yet. So a lot of times I have to come in here, and you can see it didn't for some reason find my app, trying to pull up Chrome separately. Now I think all it's because it just needs to have something running as a, as a web server. So let me hit run here again. And then when I didn't catch it in time, but the app reloaded. And so we can see we've got a little web server here. And that's all fine. I kind of wish it would have just handled all that, but
right. And I see in the background, it's still asking for another run command kind of thing.
Yeah, it's got another thing here, although it hasn't told me what it is it wants to do.
I think it's waiting to render, and then you run the wait command. It's kind of silly.
What if I hit run?
I would assume it waits 2 seconds, then does something. Yeah. Now it captures the full page. Interesting.
Now, what I said earlier was that it actually opened up a browser within Cursor, and it does do that. But I think you and I were playing around with some of the settings before that, right before the recording, and we actually enabled it so it would behave this way.
Yeah, and now I realize I have seen this before, because I recall that little banner underneath, because I think the way Windsurf does it is it opens in it like a kiosk mode or something different. So it's like, I've definitely seen that before, but I've probably only opened it once. And I didn't have this allow list thing. I do see a drop down there where it says use allow list. I wonder if that's maybe it on the bottom left.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that's not always there. So I'm sure.
On the left hand side. Sorry, my apologies. Just to the left of skip, there is a use allow list there. I wonder if that maybe is what we're missing. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think that could be it. And I'm not suggesting allow everything. That could be a problem. But for our testing, I think that's probably okay.
Yeah, let's find out. Okay, so that's already done its thing, and we can see it's added some files over here. It's got the screenshot is in here.
Nice.
Got our screenshot, and I'm guessing in the README now, we will also see that we've added that image in here too. So we did get the result we wanted, which I thought was nice. And we'll just hit keep. And then real quick, I'll just come over here and we'll update. We'll add these in here. Update our repo. And if everything works correctly here, let's get rid of this screen. And there's our screenshot.
Look at that.
So next time you want to use something to get screenshots or to test your application, anything that would be sort of simulating that interaction with the app, I think. Previously we've talked about, let me remove some of this stuff. We've talked about MCP tools like Playwright that can be used in a variety of different agents and tools and IDEs. But now there's another option in here for us that seems to work mostly the same way, I'd say. So those are the things I wanted to share with you, Ryan. And yeah, any questions about all that?
I've got a couple, and I wonder maybe if you could help me. So how would you normally take a screenshot of this stuff in the past? I think is the first thing that I started thinking about. And it's a little bit of an aside, but I think for me, I probably would have used like a Puppeteer, a Playwright, or one of those. I think they're all like Casper Ghost kind of theme, but something that would, Phantom.js, I guess, the first one that I'd use, that would start up a browser and take a screenshot and get done. But one of the things I'm noticing in your workflow actually is this is pretty handy when you make CSS changes, because the first thing you're going to do is like change the color of the background, and then you've got to add it to like a CI job or something like that. And I guess in my brain, I'm thinking, since Cursor can already run as part of CI/CD, I wonder if the browser is something that they could bring to that tooling, basically, as something that's automated. Because like as soon as you've made your screenshot, your next step is probably going to be to take another screenshot if something changes. The other thing is I've used these tools a lot for CSS problems because I'm really bad with it. And I think that's one of the things that I might want to test with this, is because it looks like you may be able to pick a different version of Chrome as opposed to just Chrome in that drop-down list. So I'd like to play with that. Like, does it render in Bing the same way it does in Chrome or Brave or what have you, as a browser testing function? Because a lot of times I'm honestly in the dark when it comes to CSS or anything front end. So I definitely want to try this. I get a lot of usage out of the Windsurf part, but the Windsurf, it doesn't really scale. So it's great in starting a browser window. It's terrible at closing the window, but this actually looks a lot better. I like the way that you can open in a tab. Actually, that might be a good feature. It feels like I should not have unchecked that. That seems like the right way to manage all of those tabs. Because at the end of a session, I would end up with like 20 Chrome windows just open on random pages and things like that. And it's just kind of messy.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, after you have one screenshot, depending on the complexity of your application, you may want to have a lot of things. And you know, just depending on what it is you're trying to take screenshots for.
Yeah.
There's, you know, you asked about my method. My manual method is literally to do a screenshot, you know, the command on the keyboard, and then highlight the section I want, or take the whole browser or something. And then within the IDE of choice, usually that image is in your clipboard and you can just paste it right into a markdown file or whatever you're using. That's usually, I think, if I think back about how, you know, I would still do it if I wasn't automating it like this. This, you know, just takes it saves me a lot of time, but I still may need to go in and do some cropping to this image. You know, maybe it got sort of the whole thing, and maybe that's not what I'm looking for, but it got me, you know, it saved me a lot of time, I would say, by just getting
the fact that it's automated, in human language as well, makes me think that you could just go through it and make kind of a prompt that says, and once you're done this, make sure to use the browser to take a screenshot. That's really cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, thanks so much.
Thank you. That was awesome. I love these new features, and sorry I missed this when I was doing the overview. I definitely obviously didn't read that far down the release notes to see it.
Yeah, it's all good. It was fun to go look into it.
All right, thanks, Jason.
See you.